Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name is Preston. I'm here with Sam. Say hello.
Hello, I took a day off, but now I'm back. We're
You're
here.
back. We're here. We're talking meta, and Bandai did something super cool in Japan this last weekend. They hosted, I think, two juniors tournaments, and they posted the winning decks. So we're gonna review them and let you know what we think.
Yes, yes. Okay, there was two pods to our understanding, and this was the winner of one of the pods. It was maybe not a shock. It is a Whitebeard.
Yeah,
So we've
blank.
covered three winning decks, and it's been three Whitebeards so far.
It got a boost. It got a Marco.
It got a Marco.
What do you do? I mean, it got ISO, which is going to give them consistent searching power, and they got Marco, a second Marco, which is offensive, and the first Marco is defensive, right? So you got just a massive swing where you're able to get rid of stuff to keep him on board. And it looks like they added some event cards to make sure that that Whitebeard, the set three, Marco
Yeah,
sticks up.
yeah, and I think the red has a new buff where they are able to play more event cards and not get punished for it. Usually, event cards can clutter or whatnot, and usually the counts seem to be anywhere between 8 and 10. Now, our newer decks in set two were even less. I think there was almost 4 to none. And now we see this big shift because we can discard them for Marco. Like this Whitebeard Pirate card fits both Whitebeard and both Marco's criteria, so we can use it for both of them, or we can just use it to search. There's so many options for this card now. Um, and we could say that for all of the. There's a lot of really cool like round table. We're gonna see a couple more in some of the other decks. A lot of options for red decks now, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, having the option to ditch a card that's dead in your hand to keep your card that you already paid for on board is incredible. And I think it's going across all of red because out of the four decks that were featured, uh, three of them are red.
Three of them are red.
So red's still hanging in strong. I was hoping for uh,
Not me.
some anything, honestly. Um, like I like the red archetype. I'm glad that there's a clear like upper hand, but I would like to see anything else do well at this point.
I just think we're seeing a trend. If a color gets or an archetype gets additional help from the following set, it's going to be a successful deck of the meta, and we're seeing that they only added two cards, and it's going to be the rest of the meta. I'd imagine we're just going to see flutters of Whitebeard because these Marcos are such pest, and now they have a searcher.
And their vanillas are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So four drop six Ks and they're
Mm-hmm.
playing four Moby Dick, so they're making sure that they're getting that in-game boost.
Yep.
It's definitely a force to be reckoned with, and this next deck did not reckon.
This
Last
is it's one that took second, but it's definitely the most interesting deck here. We mixed a couple archetypes that I really interested in. The Dodon package has kind of fallen to the wayside. We've everything we've seen from Whitebeard has basically gotten rid of this package, and we didn't know what Zoro was going to do. That's why Zoro was kind of lower on our list.
Mhm.
But they took the Dodon package and kind of mixed it a little bit with the Whitebeard Ace package. We're seeing a lot of event cards, and what's the count again? 15, and we saw that from Whitebeard. They were at 13. Yeah, so we're punished less for running more event cards, even in non Whitebeard red decks. So it's
Yeah.
impressive.
So the cards hidden by her face is
Oh,
Zoro Leader here,
oops.
Otama here, Sanji on your side, and Dadan on your side.
Yeah.
This deck has like 17, 18 unique cards with the leader, so it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to show it all at once. But um, like you're saying, the Marco alone allows you to play these event cards that you can one off and potentially play it or use it as fodder. I'm thinking about Fiery Doll, which is an offensive boost, activate main, which I wasn't expecting to see play, but I also didn't connect the dots that you just play Marco and ditch it if it's late game and you're winning and you don't need it. They're also playing Fire Fist, which is gorgeous, and why wouldn't you? It's a double KO uh, for 3 cost. Incredible. So I can just see this deck being really consistent with clearing the board, either with like jet killing like crazy threats with Jet Pistol, double clearing with Fire Fist, and then going in with Zoros and Marcos and just swing towards leader over and over again.
Yeah.
With the Dada just thinning your deck because you're Dadaing into Buggy or Nami that give you additional like searches.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it a lot of if your deck has searching cards, you're most likely winning.
Yep.
And that's why we think set two black is, I mean, of course it's powerful. We're seeing that a lot of set three black is set two cards. They just didn't have searchers. So your deck is slower. If your deck is slower, you're not seeing as many cards and you're not probably winning as many games.
Yep.
And this deck has three searchers,
Yeah.
which is
You
ridiculous.
have a searcher for your searchers. Yeah, it was a powerful archetype. We saw it dominate set two, so it's not a shocker to us I think anymore. But I think the cool thing about this was I think we can say that the ace archetype is successful a little bit here. We're seeing all of the cards here, a lot of the event card swings, which I didn't think would impact the red deck so much because it was so successful in its current formula. But I think the Marco shift required that.
Yeah,
Um,
Marco really changes the game for red. They can take
yeah,
risks with those event cards and
right.
not get punished.
And the downside is the ace leader is not as good as Zoro leader, so we just run the Zoro leader for everything. Um,
Yeah.
why would you want to discard your event cards when you want to use them for Marco? You just, use the Zoro to get your plus 1,000 to be more aggressive.
hmm
So it's nice to know it works. It's unfortunate for the ace leader, but here we are.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting an alt art, so it's getting a new alt art, which looks really pretty, so maybe it'll get played then.
I think that's the character card too. So hopefully the here we are though. This is the winner of the other pool. It is the only non-red deck in the that we have here today. It is full CP9 package Rob Lucci.
Yeah, I'm happy to see this. I talked about it in news yesterday about how I know so little about the black cards, and like how often you're actually hitting stuff at zero. And this deck doesn't care. It's just gonna beat your face in. At least that's what I'm noticing about it. Uh, it has good blockers. It has a crazy blue node that has a crazy on KO effect as a blocker. Um,
Yeah.
and then I'll let you talk about Eridor because you read it first and we're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, Eridor is cool. My question was why Jabra. I thought Eridor and Bluno had the same 4 cost requirement, so I was trying to figure out if you had room for Rob Lucci in this deck because you had full CP9. I feel like you play a little Rob Lucci for aggression, but Eridor is a really cool card for tempo. I think if you can out tempo Whitebeard in the middle of the game, you have a much higher chance of winning. And I think that's why Rob Lucci is being played over other black leaders so much, is because he is able to get through Marco. Being able to get through Marco is a big deal in this meta, and Rob Lucci's leader effect is key, and especially because Black has so many good cards, and we're obviously seeing a flux of that, where Black was being very successful with all the Admirals and like Kuzan. Now it's playing some of the Admirals and Fujitora. I think Black has this freedom now. They have Spad New, and they have. So they always are going to have a searcher. Even if you're not running brand new, you're playing Spangdom, and he searches CP9. So it just helps cover a lot of their weaknesses. And I think this deck does really well in the mid game, and I think that's why it's the tournament winner.
Yeah, and we're seeing two of the admirals from set two, which are probably, I mean, Kuzan's pretty good, but Borsellino and Sakazuki are disgusting. Borsellino being such a big blocker and having, it's like a can't KO by battle. Is that what it is?
Correct. It cannot be killed by
Uh,
effects, not battle.
by effects.
Yeah,
And it gains
1,000
1k
power.
power on your opponent's turn. So it's just an incredible blocker that you have to really push through. And then Aisho Fujitora is a game changer.
He is
This
him.
This is the guy. Uh, it's hard to not gush about this card because it's its own worst enemy. We were saying earlier. We were saying when you're playing against black as Lucci, you're going to want to keep cards in your hand so you can activate leader effect.
Yeah.
If when you want to activate leader effect, but you're always going to have in the back of your mind that once they hit 8 dawn, Aisho is hitting the board and you're dropping cards out of your hand. So it's such a crazy dynamic that black has such a easily playable card that's going to do something so different than most of the rest of the cards in this game. And I'm glad it's this character because he's dope.
He's so cool. Yeah, he's absolutely deserving of it. The art's beautiful. There's nothing bad to say about it. I think the only interesting thing besides that is, especially when you think about marketing too, how good Kuzan is. Kuzan, especially when we look at set two, is one of the most exciting cards as a Western player as we're getting it right now. That's an exciting card. And since Aisho's release, I don't think we've seen Kuzan since. There's a part of us that thought we might see both of them. But Aisho in this meta is the elite for sure. You're it's not a direct hand hit, but hand hitting in card games is usually very devastating. I know Yu-Gi-Oh got rid of most of them very early in their ban system for obvious reasons because it's very controlling,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be wary of when you take life because if you go over six, Aisha will punish you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to keep a lot of event cards in your hand for red as well, so it becomes an obstacle you have to be wary of. Yeah, and he's definitely one of the more flashier cards in the meta, so very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an obstacle that this next deck probably ran into and just couldn't get its outs because we saw it get first in the first set of decks and it lost to the Lucci in this one. So just didn't have as good of a matchup or it missed its Marcos or something. So these two decks are slightly different. This is playing a few less of the 4 drop 6K vanillas. I think a slightly different event pool, but pretty similar counts. Um,
And Gordon versus Reikuyo. That's like the only other like noticeable change, and besides events being little counts different. Ryuku
yeah,
versus Gordon. Yeah.
right. And I mean, we were when we first saw the Reikuyu, we were like, "Oh, this card's gonna get a ton of play," and then it kind of didn't in set two, which was super weird. I'm excited to see what the West does with that card because I feel like we're a little bit more aggressive, so it might get a little bit more play. Especially because Whitebeard's gonna probably go crazy here also. Um, but again, Marco's nasty, so this deck's doing well.
Yeah. And it might be boring. I think we're gonna see a lot of red. But I think because of this set, I think we're gonna see a lot of different deck building. I think Rikuyo and Gordon is a nice example of that. I think Rikuyo lets it hit very specific thresholds. The 1,000 plus your 6K vanillas gets you an odd number. So I think it just gets you hit different just different numbers. It gives you different math options.
Right.
But you have all this versatility in deck building. We're gonna see different iterations of this as the meta grows. I'm expecting Law to make a grand appearance at some point, like we always does, and then Whitebeard will have to evolve again. So it's just gonna be nice to see how it evolves. I think the cards given in set three are give a wider variety. So I'm excited to see what comes out of red. I just wish other colors had that flexibility, man. Red's just getting all of it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like blue should have that flexibility at this point because Nami's so different,
No.
and I couldn't find any like results. All the people I follow on Twitter are adults that kind of talk about their decks as the championship series go on. I don't know what else did well in these tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't know if Nami was top four. I don't know if Big Mom or Katakuri did well. So I don't know as much as we normally know about the championship series. Usually we get a big breakdown,
Yeah.
but I don't think the event was televised at all because it was children. Um,
Makes sense.
yeah.
And it's I just keep thinking that if you get a little bit of extra support in the next set, your deck becomes very superior, and that's the one side effect of blue. They've had three really good sets, but they
Mhm.
haven't been very linking. Very, very different, very unique. The next set's going to be interesting. We might get a little more crocodile support. That could be really, really good for blue. Yeah, it's a little more extra support for all the colors, you know. You see what red does with it. They just run crazy. They run wild. They win all the tournaments. They get all the berries. They get all the girls. It's very unfair.
Yeah, and it leaves Pigeon Guy out in the cold as the only other.
Shut up, pigeon guy.
Yeah,
That's so funny. But that's meta.
absolutely.
Thank you guys so much
Thank
for.
you all.
That's all you, buddy. Go ahead.
All right, thank you all for coming by. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. We do this every Monday. Until next time, we'll see you around. Thank you all for watching. Later. I have an eyelash in my eye and it's driving me crazy.
I love that Luffy calls him Pigeon Guy. Like he always first names everyone, all the bad guys except Lucci.
He's redeemable.
Pigeon Guy. I still think Kaido's gonna get redeemed.
Redeem Kaido.